What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live here on a Thursday evening. We're well underway with pre-draft workouts. We're going to discuss some of that. It's a draft talk sort of episode for us today. Might be a little bit shorter. It was actually a quiet news day. We've actually had some pretty jam-packed streams for the off season with Mike Schmitz and a bunch of different stuff. You know, we can talk some NBA Finals a little bit as well. I don't think we've talked since after Game 1, so we can talk about maybe Boston fans or something if you guys want. I'll leave it up to you, chat, but we're going to talk some draft stuff. Eric rounded up some mock drafts. He has a few to look at, and one that it sounds like is going to be very entertaining to listen to. He won't tell me why, but it's from an infamous source with the wild mock drafts, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you have, Eric. That's how we're gonna keep people throughout the next 30 minutes. You should save that one for last.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Anyway, how's the day going? How's everything going?
Oh, pretty good. Just trying to get through a busy time at work and kids finishing up school and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. It's kind of a blur right now. Draft is only 2 weeks. Which is crazy, which is absolutely crazy. So it felt like it was a month until the lottery 2 weeks ago. Now it's 2 weeks until the draft. So this offseason is kind of flying. We're almost there, and I'm looking forward to it. You have rumors flying around. John Collins for the 7th pick. Atlanta would do it. So would Portland? I hope not. We can talk a little bit about trade rumors and take some of your guys' questions in a little bit. Anyway, Hyperprem says new hat, Tori. No, I lost my red hat. I think I left it at the gym. So I had to break out the white hat because my hair's still wet. It was pouring today. My hair's been wet all day. But the white hat is kind of, I don't know. I don't like wearing it on stream. It's a little bit much, but I had to work with what I had to work with, man. Anyway, Eric, what do you want to start off with?
Let's start off with the workout today for Portland.
AJ Griffin.
AJ Griffin came to town. He actually had a media availability. I don't know if you saw the video of him standing next to Dame. He did not look very tall.
He looked 6'4", which is about what I expected.
He looked like Matherin's height. But they did show, I was surprised the Blazers posted this, but the Blazers Twitter account posted a picture of him getting his wingspan measured. And he appeared to be a legitimate 7-foot wingspan, which we knew his wingspan would measure well. Like you've been mentioning all along, his shoulders do seem very low, so I would have liked to see the standing reach too. But
I did knock him down to I went in the middle because I think he looked 6'4" when he was standing next to Damon. He was listed as 6'6", and of course he didn't officially measure at the draft combine. So for his draft profile, which, yes, this is a plug, beautiful segue into a plug because I dropped the draft profile on him earlier today over on the main channel. It was perfect timing, actually. So on the draft profile, I split the difference and put him at 6'5". I just wish he measured at the combine because I was most curious to see his measurements at the combine, and then he didn't. Good that he has a 7-foot wingspan, but the dude looks 6'4", and he has those low shoulders, man. I don't know. He's undersized for the 3, and then you get into the defensive problems and whatnot. And I mean, he said he was working on his defense, and he was motivated by the criticism of his defense. So I liked his pre-draft interview today.
Said the right things, yeah.
Yeah, except for too much, according to one of our community members, but that was funny. It's a good guy. I actually know somebody that works with him. I'm not going to say who, but I know somebody that knows him, says he's a really, really good kid. So, I mean, I wouldn't hate it because the dude has an elite skill, which is shooting threes. But, I mean, defensively, and his measurement questions and then his injury concerns, I would be queasy. If we drafted him.
Yeah. It almost feels like you could trade down a few spots and still get him at this point. The rumor is New York is hoping he falls to 11, so I would hope if that's the guy we want, we get an additional asset to do so. But yeah, who knows? I don't know if there's like a handful of players that I don't think would surprise me at 7 right now.
Yeah, I mean, the perfect trade for that, and I don't know if Washington would do this, but I put it in my draft or my trade targets video that I dropped. I've been dropping a lot of videos. Go check them out. It was 7 and Keon Johnson to Washington for 10 and Rui. Just assuming Washington wanted 7 for a specific guy that they didn't think could fall to 10. They have a lot of forward depth. They need more guard depth. So that would be like my dream situation if we were willing to trade down. Would you do that trade, Eric?
Sure.
Sure. Very that means it's a good trade if you're stuck, if you don't know what you'd want to do, because normally you know exactly what you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, I like Rui. I think he'd be a good addition. I just there's several guys that aren't going to be there at 10 that I like at 7, so that's tough, but yeah.
For me, I don't know if there's a big enough gap between them. Because I mean, I'm starting to see some of the intrigue with a Sohan. I just have no idea. I mean, I see the intrigue. That doesn't mean that I necessarily agree with the people that are super high on him.
Okay.
I dropped the draft profile, and the thing is with the draft profiles, I've been trying to like view things from different perspectives. You know, talking about floor, like worst case scenario, and then talking about ceiling, best case scenario, that sort of thing. It's actually, I feel like, given me a better understanding of prospects, trying to, instead of just formulating my opinions, trying to look at the positive viewpoint and the negative viewpoint. So I see some of the intrigue. It's just, I mean, he has a long way to go, but I see the flashes. And that's going to be what decides who has good drafts or not, is who can take a prospect. Because you have a lot of prospects that show flashes of things in this range, but are nowhere near consistent at them. It's going to be what teams can find that consistency with certain swing skills from certain players in this range. Like with Jalen Duren, it could be his playmaking and maybe developing his jump shot. If he can do that, the dude could be an absolute freaking beast. If not, the dude might just be a run-of-the-mill, athletic center, another, I mean, Nerlens Noel is kind of over-exaggerating, but you know what I mean, just kind of one of those athletic backups. So that's going to be the thing is... And that's what I'm struggling with, is how much to buy into certain flashes with guys.
Yeah.
But that's why it's like, I think I'd be willing to move down from 7 to 10, because I don't think there's necessarily, like, I like Dyson Daniels right now at 7, and even as high on him as I am, I don't think it's clear cut enough where I wouldn't mind trading down to 10.
Yeah. So in that scenario, let's just say that trade played out. I don't know if drafting Sohan makes a lot of sense, because I know Sohan could probably play some small ball 5, but for the most part, he's a 4, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And Rui's definitely only a 4, in my opinion. So you're basically trading for 2 guys at the same position, which we need probably 2 power forwards. So I don't know if it's that bad. It's just, I don't know if you need Rui or both. Yeah.
I think you could play them together, because Sohan, I think, can guard 3s, right? And then offensively...
Maybe. I don't know if you want him to, but I think he can guard pretty much any position.
Yeah, I think the thing is with Sohan is I think he would guard 3 and 4 really well, and then, like, he could guard guards at a solid enough level to be switched onto him and not be, like, a mismatch that teams just pick on. And then I think he can guard some 5s. The thing is the one area that lacks, I think, is his rim protection compared to the rest of this defense. His rim protection, I wouldn't even necessarily, it's like all that bad. It's just when you look at everything else that he does defensively, which he's good pretty much in every other aspect defensively, that's the one area where he's not the best in. But I think, I don't know, I think you could play him together. Offensively, I think it'd work. Rui's a more offensive version, but if Sohan could develop his shot, I think offensively it would work. And then Sohan guards the best forward, Rui guards the weaker one. So I would still look at Sohan there if that's the right guy. I don't think you'd necessarily have to pick a 3 there if you did that trade.
Yeah, I'm not saying draft for need. I'm just saying I don't know if that's the best way to maximize our assets, is to go for 2 players at the same position like that are, I don't know. I would have trouble, like, starting Sohan at the 3 or whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. See, if we trade down to 10, I'd almost be willing to trade down even further, because I still really like Ousmane Dieng. I mean, AJ Griffin could fall to 15-ish. The thing is you probably want a pick, a future first. Like, if Because if you trade down to 10, you could maybe trade down to 15 and get PJ Washington. But if we had Rui already, and then we're probably drafting another forward, then we don't need PJ Washington at all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing is, if you end up at 10, I would maybe entertain trading down to 15 if you could also get a future first. That might be a little bit steep, but if you could get a future first, then you could throw that with a Milwaukee pick if you really want Jeremy Grant, or you could try and flip it to Chicago and get our future first back. Like, you would have some flexibility there, and you could still get a really good player at like 15. And then you could, have more picks to move around in other deals, and then you also have Rui on top of it. So there's some like little paths that you could weave trading down that might make some sense.
I don't see any team moving up 5 spots from 15 to 10, maybe 15 to 7 with a future first, but yeah, I don't see it with the.
What did Phoenix give up when they traded up from like 16 to 10 to get Mikal Bridges?
They gave up. Was it 16 or 18?
I think it was 16 because then Zaire Smith was who Philly took at 16. They traded down from 10 to 16.
They gave up the Milwaukee or the Miami 2021 unprotected first.
Yeah, so and that was 16 to 10. So I wouldn't necessarily rule it out. It just, but that's a different draft where like Mikal Bridges was a clear cut good value there at 10, whereas if there's not much of a difference between like 10 through 16, you probably couldn't extract as much value out of another team. So I don't know, man. It's around this time is when you start to get a good feel for kind of some of the tiers. I still feel like it's outside of the top 7 or maybe 8. I have no idea how this draft is going to go. I feel like normally we have a more clear-cut picture like 8 through 16, 17 of where some guys are probably going to slot in. And right now, I don't think there's a good feel. Because Tari Eason's supposed to be in that range, and then you hear rumors today that he's not impressing teams in pre-draft workouts and he could slip. I don't have a good feel for that range, honestly.
Yeah, which is why I don't think teams would trade up or give up that much to trade up. They might be just happy with staying where they're at because they're going to get a similar prospect.
Yeah. So anyway, where you want to go next? So do you have more to say about like AJ Griffin, or we haven't talked on stream since Jalen Duren came in? Do you have anything else to say about? Did we?
Yeah, we talked for like a half an hour about Duren the other day.
Was that really that long ago? I thought it was like 2 days ago. I thought it was Tuesday.
No.
I don't know, man. My days are... I told you at the start of the stream, it's been a blur.
We talked about him playing power forward and whether he could or not, and...
Oh, I thought that was... Yeah, I don't know. As I said at the start of the stream, it's been a blur. The time's flying right now, and I can't believe it's 2 weeks until the stream. Because that felt like it was yesterday or 2 days ago, not Monday, and it's Thursday. So I'm tripping.
I think Mathurin was Sunday morning, and then Duren was Monday. So
yeah. Okay, so if you don't have anything to say about that, we can segue into mock drafts that you have compiled from across the web.
Sure, yeah. Just taking a look at some of the most recent mock drafts. So I got one here from a pretty good site called NBA Draft Room.
Yeah.
They updated today, or yesterday actually. They have Jabari going number 1, Chet 2, no surprises there. They actually have Ivy 3rd to the Rockets.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know why they do that. I see some sites have Ivy listed as a point guard. I don't think he's a point guard. I think he's a combo, and Jalen Green's a combo, and then you got Kevin Porter Jr., and I don't even know what he's supposed to be. He's like a 6'4" point forward, which I didn't even know was possible. So that's a weird fit. They already kind of have a weird situation 1 through 3 already. I don't see them going Ivy. I think Banchero is kind of the obvious pick. Yeah. Or Chet. Chet, I think, is actually better than Banchero for them because I like Chet next to Sengun long term. I think those guys would complement each other very well. So
I think Banchero's going to complement Sengun too.
I just have worries about that defensively.
I think I'm starting to be pretty confident in Banchero's defense.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see him being like a top tier defender, and Sengun.
Maybe not top tier, but yeah.
I just think being able to have a guy that can space the floor at a high level, and then rim protect next to Sengun would be a really good fit. Because Sengun's more of a low post guy and he can pass. You could run some 4-5 pick and roll with those two, which you could with Bankero and Sengun, but like Sengun handling the ball. Drew Timmy and Chet did that last year and it actually worked pretty well. So I would like that fit for Houston. But
Kyle Wilson and Chris Brandlin both bring up an interesting scenario. That would mean that the Kings would have Bankero on the board. They've been rumored to want to trade down from that spot. Is that a situation? The problem is, what do we have that they'd want to get up? So,
if only we got better value at the trade deadline, then that would be more of a conversation. Yeah. But what?
I mean, I guess. I would for sure offer 7 in the Milwaukee pick, but that's probably not enough value to move up.
I think you'd have to give up Josh Hart in that deal, Eric.
Yeah. Would they want Josh Hart?
Maybe. I mean, they don't have a starting 2 right now, and Josh Hart looked really good in Portland at the end of last year. If you're talking about 7, Milwaukee first, and Josh Hart, and they're trying to win now, I feel like that would be the Kings sort of thinking is, oh, look at this dude. When he started in Portland last year, averaged 20 a game, and we get a future first, and we only moved down from 4 to 7. And then they'll say, oh, we still got the guy we wanted at 7 that we were thinking about taking at 4, and we added this. Mm-hmm. So I feel like they could, I feel like that's what it'd have to be to move up. And at that point, I wouldn't do it. I don't know, though. Bankero has star potential.
If Bankero falls to 4, they probably don't want to trade down anymore. I don't know, man. It's the Kings.
Yeah, I mean...
And Kyle Wilson, we get that question a lot. Oh, Bledsoe and 7 for 4 in Barnes. They're not salary dumping Barnes. They actually think he's worth a first-round pick. That's why they haven't traded him yet. So,
and if they were trying to salary dump him, they wouldn't want Bledsoe back either.
Right.
So I just don't see. I don't see a viable pathway up to 4 unless it's 7. Like, maybe 7 and Hart is good enough for Sacramento if they're really feeling crazy, but it'd probably be 7.
Unless they really like Keon and value that Milwaukee pick, but yeah. I
don't think that's enough. I don't know.
The only thing I could think of is that the type of trade to justify getting our pick back from Chicago to be able to trade like our own 2025 first or something?
I mean, how would you get the pick back from Chicago?
Well, you just like lower the protections on it or something. I don't know. Or you offer them, maybe you offer them pick 36 to make it so it's only protected for like the next two years and then turns into a 2nd round pick or something instead of 6 years.
I wouldn't offer 36 for that. I think you could maybe get it back if you offer 36 in the Milwaukee first.
Yeah, well, I obviously start with that, but
yeah. I think that could be viable, and then you try and trade a 2023 first, lightly protected, maybe a 2025 first, slightly protected as in like top 6, top 8-ish range, and then a 2025 or 2026 first along with 7, and maybe you can get up to 4 for Bankero.
So yeah, let's say it cost us obviously the Milwaukee pick, 36, 7, and a top 5 protected next year. Do you do it? If Bankero's on the board.
You said 7, a top 5 protected next year, and what else?
The Milwaukee pick and number 36.
Probably, yeah. Because, I mean, we're probably trading the pick next year anyway, so then if you're just talking about a Milwaukee first in 36 to move up from 7 to 4, like, yeah, you have a little bit more risk next year if you suck again, but you have to take that sort of chance. That's the type of chance that the team needs to take on a guy with some star potential at a forward position that can do a lot offensively. Yeah. I would be more willing to do it if Chet or Jabari Smith were there at 4 because I think they're going to be better defenders, especially right off the bat. So I would be more willing to do it if Jabari or Chet was there, but I'd still probably have to do it for Banchero.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think if one of those three are on the table, you would definitely have to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Kyle Wilson, Sacramento's not doing that either.
Yeah, man, they're getting worse.
Yeah.
They don't. No one wants Bledsoe in these trades. He doesn't have. It's like we'd have to give up another first just to get him to take on Bledsoe, and that doesn't match. Could even come close for them to match salary, so they can't even make that trade.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. If Sacramento did that, you know what they'd do? They'd instantly probably take 7 and trade it for John Collins, as well as like Barnes or something. That's maybe the type of trade they'd do.
Barnes
and then
7 for Collins. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, and then they probably take some of the assets they got from us and then trade them for Jeremy Grant or something. Well, and then they're sitting there with like Fox.
Think they need to do that.
Well, it's the Kings. Of course, they don't need to do anything that they ever do, but that's exactly why they do it. So you know, if they're trading down, they're trying to accumulate assets to just trade a bunch of them for players to try and get the 8th seed.
Yeah, so Kyle Wilson, normally that's more than enough to move up 3 spots, but in this particular draft, when you're talking about one of the top picks, that's a lot. You have to get up a lot more to get that high, I think.
Yeah. Like you got to have something. You have to have Here's the thing in trades is there's certain deals that are of a certain magnitude that if you just throw in like the Milwaukee pick or a Keon Johnson, it's just not even enough to register because you're talking about 2 big-time assets. So your second asset, even though you're only moving up 3 spots, you're talking about moving up from 7 to 4 to get Paulo Banchero. Your second asset in that trade has to be something legitimately good, and Keon Johnson and the Milwaukee pick just don't register as that. So that's why you'd have to give up like a top 5 protected Portland first next year, which, could be 14th, 15th pick. And then another asset probably on top of that, which I think a Portland top 5 protected pick next year is a better value than the Milwaukee first or Keon Johnson. And that's not even getting into the fact that they'd have to take back Eric Bledsoe in that trade. So that's the thing is a lot of people just are like, yeah, let's just sprinkle in this small thing and this small thing and like try and inch their way to that gap. But there's certain trades of certain magnitude where middling assets like that just don't even register at all.
Mm-hmm. Joey says 7th and little. It's tough to know Nas's value. I mean, I'd obviously.
That's interesting.
I think you got to do that if you. As much as I like Nas, I think that's tough. But
would you hypothetically, because I know this is impossible, but just like who would you rather have on the team next year? I already know your answer, but would you rather have Anthony Simons or Paulo Banchero?
Yeah.
Would you rather have Anthony Simons or Jabari Smith?
Yeah.
Okay, true Ant fan. So you would take Ant with the number 1 pick in the draft this year if we had it?
Well, no, because I wouldn't be tied to him, and we wouldn't know that he's going to be a superstar. But yeah,
I'm just trying to throw you curveballs, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so. Well, there has been some whispers that, like, Portland, I don't even know where they're from. I've heard people talking about Portland has some interest in Banchero or something along those lines.
No, it was Bobby Marks was on, what's his name? George Saldano, I think is his name, is an ESPN guy. So he was on one of his podcasts, and he said, like, give us a bold prediction for something that'll happen at the draft. And he said Portland will trade up to number 3 or something and take Banchero. And so that's where that all stems from. It's like where that just came out of left field. So like it had to have been based on something, right?
Yeah.
But I think he was just like making a bold prediction, but yeah.
I mean, Houston might be a sneaky team to trade down because if they're not thrilled with Banchero, like if that's not a guy that they value, like they think other teams value, I don't
understand why they wouldn't.
Neither do I, but it could be they don't think he's a good fit next to Sengun long term. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that that's what I think. I'm saying maybe that's what they think. And then Ivy is just a very weird fit there as well. And if there's a player, if they like the guys in the range of 7, maybe some of the Kings packages that we put forth, maybe Houston would want to, but they wouldn't value a Josh Hart the same way because they're not desperate to make the playoffs finally like the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, I think to me Sacramento still seems like the team because if a team's going to trade down, because like you mentioned, they probably be fine with a shooting guard. So at 7, you're definitely getting, or most definitely getting, either Sharp or Mathurin. Or if both of those guys go, they probably have Keegan Murray on the board, who I know they like as well. So that's a direction where it might not be that they don't like Ivy or don't like Banchero or whoever's there, but they might really like one of those guys that they know will be there at 7 and that fit their team better than trying to plug a hole with a player that they don't like you mentioned with Houston and Ivy. Doesn't make a lot of sense considering their players already. So maybe that's just a case of Sacramento is just trying to get value for wanting to take the player they want at 4, and that person might be there at 7.
This conversation just pissed me off because I remembered something.
What's that?
Wouldn't it be nice to have 7 and 8 for this type of situation?
Well, I mean, yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up, but I'm
like so past thinking of it, but oh my god, it'd be so much easier.
When it was mentioned in chat, like, would we want to move up to 4? That was the first thing that comes to my mind in those when I'm asked that question. Like, yeah, it would sure be nice to have 7 and 8 right now, because
we could be talking about like 3 and 17. You know, for 7-8 and like the Milwaukee first or something like that. Yeah, we'd have just more. It'd be fun. Instead, every time I remember that, I get pissed off. It sucks, man. Like, and we've ranted about it numerous times. This is like the first time ever watching us or something. We're not going to get into it again. Sorry, but basically, the 5-second summary is the 8th pick that New Orleans had should have backed up the pick that they initially owed us in the CJ McCollum trade. There's no logic why that couldn't be the case, because they were willing to give up the 8th pick in the first place, which was their own. So that's okay. It was 10 seconds, but that's my best way to summarize it. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on this any longer, man, because I've dwelled on it for a while.
So the Kings get Banchero at 4 in this mock. Then the Pistons
NBA draft room. Yep.
The Pistons take Dyson Daniels at 5.
That's like the one team that I don't like for Dyson Daniels because they have Cade. Like
I mean, it helps defensively, but yeah, it won't help them space the floor very well.
If your goal is to like get a bunch of big playmakers and just be switchable 1 through 4, maybe that works. Like if they think Daniels can be a good enough spot-up shooter and play well off the ball, then I could see that working. So it's not like I would say it was a terrible pick because I do right now have Daniels 5th on my big board, but that's like the one team where I question the fit.
Yeah, especially, you got Keelan Hayes, Beef Stew. Like, none of those guys can shoot. Shooting, you definitely need Daniels to be a good shooter. Sadiq Bey, I guess, theoretically should be able to shoot, but he hasn't gotten any kind of spacing either since he's been there 2 years. So, yeah, I don't like that fit at all for them either, but... you know what I just realized too? Them moving down to 5 actually helps the value of that 2025 second they owed us, because we were saying they're going to be good by then. Imagine they add Banchero or Jabari or something. Now it's like, where are they taking at 5? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Still too far out. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But still, I mean, like that's the thing is I'm thinking about this, and Isaiah Stewart is very meh to me. Like, he's a solid backup big, but he's never going to... I don't think he's ever going to be like a Robert Williams type of value or anything like that. Killian Hayes hasn't worked out, and then it's... I don't know. Like, Keegan Murray, I'm not thrilled with his ceiling. Dyson Daniels, I'm not thrilled with his fit. Shaden Sharp could take, 2-3 years to actually, like, provide something. Just because he's not as... I was higher on him when I thought he was bigger. So they're in a weird spot. They could be bad for a while because it's you would think that it's easier to build a team around a big point guard that like defensively can be your 2 or your 3. Normally that's the case, but being at 5 is really tough for them. It's kind of like the Brandon Roy thing. like it was. We get a really good point guard with Andre Miller, but it's not like the right fit because he can't shoot. You know, it's like that's kind of like what's going on with Killian Hayes. Obviously, Andre Miller was a million times better than Killian Hayes, but you know what I mean. Real quick, I just got to say, Eric Olson, man, where have you been? I've been trying to get a hold of you for like a year.
Yeah, so have I.
Check
What's
your
up, man?
Discord messages, man. I'm sure you have.
The mock off season's almost over, but we were trying to get you into the mock off season.
Well,
and,
I tried to contact him like months before that, just trying to see how he was doing, and yeah.
He says he's been on Mars.
Okay.
Did Elon launch a secret mission to Mars already and doesn't want to tell us? Because he's too busy focused on buying Twitter. Hope everything's good on Mars, man. That's funny. Anyway, what was next?
All right, so then they got Keegan Murray going 6 to the Pacers. And then at number 7, so who do we have on the board still? We have Sharp, Mathurin,
AJ Griffin, Duran,
Johnny Davis, etc. Yeah. AJ Griffin. They have us taking Jalen Duran.
No.
It says,
I mean, oh God, I don't know.
Duran is a big-time talent who has a ton of untapped potential. Centers don't have as much value these days, so it'd be hard for teams in the mid-lottery to pass on him. This could be a trade-out spot for the Blazers. That's what everyone freaking says. But
yeah, dude, like, he has the potential to be a bust at that pick. I mean, yeah, he has all this potential, but it's like, what is he good at now? He's very young, and he's physically, like, he's strong and he's athletic. But you know how many times there's been bigs with like all this skill potential and just never pan out?
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember Marquise Chris, and he was more of a 4 back then, but it was like, oh, look at him. He's athletic and he's long and he has all this skill potential. Like he can shoot, he can put the ball on the floor a little bit, yada, yada, yada. He has a ton of potential. And that was a great pick for Phoenix at 8. Wasn't that the same year they drafted Dragan Bender at 4, and everybody was saying, like, all the skill upside he had as well?
Maybe.
I think that was the same year, because they drafted at 4 and 8, I think, that year.
They traded, they had 13 and 20,
yeah, and they traded
28 or something like that, or 29, and they traded those two for 8. And then the Kings drafted Papagiannis,
yeah,
and Scal, the other pick.
What year was that?
I think it was
2016,
I think.
Yeah, because it was the year after Porzingis, and Bender was supposed to be the next Porzingis. Yeah, they did have 4 and 8 in that draft. They drafted Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris at 4 and 8. Both of them bust.
That's so terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, these bigs that haven't shown consistency in terms of a shot, in terms of, like, being... Like, that's the thing with Duran, is he should end up being a really good defensive player, but I'm not completely sold on that. And then it's not like he's shown passing flashes, but I don't know if he can be a good passing big in the NBA. Flashes are just flashes. Those are the type of players that are high risk of ending up being busts. You know what I mean? And sure, he could be the next Bam, but I don't know, man. I feel like people don't acknowledge the downside as much as they should with a Jalen Duran, because they just see how young he is and see how physically dominant he is, and they just see a couple flashes, and it's like, oh, imagine what he could be.
Yeah, I disagree a little bit on not sure about the defense. I think it's pretty bankable. But I feel the same way about Mark Williams and Christian Coloco too, so why not just trade down and take one of them? Mm-hmm. I don't think it's that much of a drop down, so I'd almost rather just get one of those guys later in the draft if you could, and just let someone else take Duran.
Yeah, like, I'm okay with Duran at 7 if we needed a center, but we need forwards. Like that's where all, I'm just not as high on them.
Like JP says, not to bring this up again, but if we had the 8th pick as well, then that's probably fine to take.
Yeah,
best
you got
player
another
available
asset.
And yeah.
You got more assets to address your forward positions. You can spend an asset on a center like that, but we just don't have enough assets to waste them. I think on a guy with some downside like that, that's a center. So that's why wouldn't be thrilled with that pick anyway.
And we could probably get in the second round. I know you like Kamagate, and then I like Ibubaji, and I mean those guys probably wouldn't help us as soon as Duran would, but and then Yannick Noza is also a power forwardish type that could play defense and has a lot of good skills for that. And so you could probably find a big that's good defender later in the draft too, if that's what you really care about.
Yep. You just go into 7 in these mock drafts, or maybe highlighting like weird picks after that instead of all.
So then Sharp goes 8 to the Pelicans, which would be very interesting. They have Ousmane Dieng going 9 to the Spurs.
That was in my first mock draft. I still like that as a sleeper pick a lot.
And then they have Mathurin falling to 10 to the Wizards. Johnny Davis to the Knicks. Sohan to the Thunder. Mark Williams, Hornets. Cavs getting AJ Griffin at 14.
I like that, actually.
Yeah. All right, so...
Let me just say this. The more I watch Mark Williams, the more I don't understand why people think he's a lottery big.
I see why they think that.
I see why with the measurements and whatnot. I don't know. I watched some film on some of his pick and roll defense. He just doesn't seem like the most mobile guy.
Well, I mean...
And then skill-wise, he doesn't present a lot. And those are the type of bigs that get played off the floor and around playoffs.
Yeah, but for a center with his size, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's not good, but it's not terrible either. He's not, crazy athletic like a lot of players. But in terms of being a rim protector and a lob target... it's hard to find a better prospect than him.
I mean, yeah, I don't think that's the type of player you draft at 13. I wouldn't touch him until 18, 19, 20. 18 to Chicago is kind of my favorite landing spot for him, the highest landing spot that I'd like for him right now. But yeah, that's my opinion on Mark Williams. I'm not high on a lot of centers this year other than Koloko and Kamagate. I'm not I'm not higher on Duran. I'm definitely not higher on Walker Kessler. And I'm not higher on Mark Williams than people. I like Kamagate, I like Koloko compared to their value, but I don't have them lottery.
Am I crazy, or did Kendall Brown go back to school?
No.
He didn't?
It was a clerical error.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. What, is he going 15?
No, he's 26 in this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'm just looking real quick. They have Koloko 31.
Where'd Jovic go?
Barlow 32. I think he went 20.
Okay.
Sorry, I already clicked out the first.
Dude, if San Antonio took Ousmane Dieng at 9 and Nikola Jovic at 20, I would love that draft for them.
Yeah, let's see who else they got. Jovic at 20, and then they take Dalen Terry at 25.
I love that draft for them.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because I think they need a swing for some forwards with upside.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Gary about it, a Spurs fan, it's a friend of ours, goes on Gabe's podcast. But I was telling him, I was like, dude, you guys have all these guards that just seem like they don't have a super high ceiling. You guys need upside and you guys need forwards. That's what I think the Spurs need in this draft.
Ew. They have us taking Christian Brown at 36. That's gross.
No. No.
With Leonard Miller still on the board.
That would be a disaster.
Harrison Ingram
Duran
went,
is... Right? Yeah, he did.
They need to update their draft board or something.
Duran at 7 and Christian Brown at 36, I would be
as much as you like the Spurs draft.
Yeah, I would hate that draft for us. That's the thing. If it's a team, if it's a different team at 9, I don't like Ousmane Dieng as much as a pick. I just think they need forwards, and they need to swing for upside because they don't have enough upside guys, but they're good enough where they're not getting a high pick. So it's how are you going to get another, key contributor, a potential star. I think you got to swing for some potential stars at this point, or you have to trade DeJounte Murray and maybe trade Keldon Johnson and get bad enough to get to the top of the draft. They're kind of stuck. So that's why I like them swinging for guys like that compared to maybe another team which might be in a little better situation. So that's why I like their draft. I would not like that draft for us.
And then they have Zvonimir Ivisic going 57 to us.
That would be my favorite pick out of all of them. Oh, that would be bad. Anyway, what's next?
All right. They have Jabari Walker going undrafted. Yannick Noza undrafted. Weird.
There's going to be a really good undrafted
Orlando
player that we're going to
Robinson
say.
Undrafted.
There's going to be a really good undrafted player that we're going to be saying to sign on a two-way on draft night.
All right. USA Today for the win. They had a mock draft today. They're one of the few that still has Chet going number 1. Jabari 2, Banchero 3, so pretty chalk. Ivy 4.
That's how things should go. That's how things should go.
Then they had the Pistons taking Sharp at 5.
That's how things should go.
6, Keegan Murray.
Okay, well.
And then get to 7. So.
Oh God.
All right. So we got what? Who's still left? Mathurin, Daniels,
Dyson Daniels, AJ Griffin, Sohan, Duran.
Yep, all those guys. They have us taking Jeremy Sohan at 7.
I would want to trade down if we're gonna take.
Do people have to put this in every single write-up? Most folks who I talk to are familiar with Portland's thinking do not believe the Blazers keep this pick. Like, it's just, does it even need to be mentioned at this point? Like, just.
I mean, they got to say something. And that's an easy thing for them to say, instead of thinking about a whole write-up for why Sohan would work. It's easy to just say, people think that they would trade this pick, so this pick could be on the move, and this pick could be a different team's.
Man, they have New Orleans taking Daniels.
I would like that for them a lot.
As much as I've said that I'm not as high on Daniels as a lot of people, getting him with like Herb Jones and Grand Theft Alvarado and they get, if Zion comes back and see, like, that's enough defense to like overcome some of their offensive players' liabilities.
Yeah, and I think Daniels in the
offense would be disgusting if you have Zion's efficiency back in it. So
I would be sick if we drafted Sohan at 7 and Daniels went 8. Yeah, I would be sick.
That's tough.
Thanks, XC.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Nice compliment. All right, let's see what else they got here. So they got Johnny Davis going 9, Duran going 10.
Let me just say, because we just talked about the Spurs, if they're going to draft a guard, I think it should be Johnny Davis, because I think Johnny Davis, out of all the guards left, has the highest upside.
Speaking of good defensive backcourt, man.
DeJounte Murray and Johnny Davis.
Him and DeJounte, that would be awesome too. If one of them
has to figure out how to shoot.
Yeah. And then they have, so Duran's going to the Wizards, AJ Griffin to 11. Have I said Mathurin yet? 12, Jang.
No, you haven't said Mathurin yet.
Mathurin falling to 13. See, okay, if we could trade 7 for 13 and 15 and we still get Mathurin and let's see who else would be. They have Branham going 14, so
but 15, Charlotte ain't trading up to 7 to take Sohan.
No, I know. Knows. Yeah. True.
I could see Mathurin slipping a little bit.
Maybe. Dude, this one has Leonard Miller moving all the way up to 17, which we predicted a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and then he didn't measure as well as I thought he would. And I don't know. He's lost his buzz, man. I still like him, though. I still like him around 20.
They have Jovic going 24 to the Bucks.
Oh, God. That'd be dude, that would be a dream pick for them. Oh my goodness. Dude, if I was a Bucks fan, that would be the guy I would be begging for. My goodness, that'd be perfect.
Dude, I just thought of something that I
What?
hadn't thought of yet because I
What?
forgot that Milwaukee had a pick this year.
Yeah.
Would you trade their pick back for 24?
Why would they do that?
I don't know. Maybe they don't want a rookie or something. I don't know. And they
I
want to
mean,
be able to trade a future first or something.
I would, because it's just more. It's just return on value sooner.
Yeah.
But I don't see them doing it because they need somebody. Their problem is they don't have a shot creator off the bench.
Mm.
And they could get a shot creator off the bench like Jovic, or maybe that's like the spot where you start to talk about maybe a Blake Wesley or a Bryce McGowan's or something. Like I think they could get a potential shot creator there that, given how many good defenders they have right away, whoever the rookie is, if it's a Wesley, if it's a McGowan's, they don't have to worry too much defensively. They just have to kind of play to their strengths and hopefully be more efficient. So I think they keep it, and I think they just draft best player available because they don't even need a specific position. So I think they're actually in a really good spot to get some bench help, and it could be at any position. Because, they have so many guards that are just, 3-and-D guys that are just mediocre 3-and-D. Like, they got Wesley Matthews, they got Pat Connaughton, they got Grayson Allen. They need a creator.
Shout out to Josh the Pels fan for a $2 donation. Thanks to your support. Would you rather 13 and 15 or 13 and PJ?
So 15 or PJ, basically. Thank you, Josh Pels fan, for the $2 dono. I'd rather have 15.
Yeah, me too. I'd rather have 2 shots at a home run than a known double or whatever. Yeah.
I wouldn't hate it. That's close though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate it either way. Just if that was the decision. Trading back, I don't know if I'd want to do that. Depends on who'd be on the board at 13, but yeah. I mean, PJ, I'd rather have 15, but it's not something that's that drastic.
David Yu says he wouldn't do that Bucks trade because the uncertainty of the 25 first could come into play. Well, I would agree with that if it wasn't top 4 protected, because New Orleans had it unprotected and we still let them put protections on it for some reason. So if it was unprotected, I could maybe see, they could have, a year where Giannis gets hurt or something happens. Maybe Middleton or Drew is gone by then and they go down a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Right now, I don't think it has much value.
Yep. Anyway. The rest of that mock draft.
There's some really weird ones.
Yeah.
So this was supposed to be based off intel and stuff that they shared. So 25, Max Christie. It's the highest I've seen him gone in a long time.
Yeah, I've seen some late first round potential buzz for him.
And then this gets interesting. 28, Golden State Warriors. Do you have a guess?
Is it like a Warriors-esque pick?
No, this is not a Warriors-esque pick, but it's...
Walker Kessler.
No, it's right size, I guess, but it's John Butler.
John Butler. Bro, okay. If you don't like Chet because of how skinny he is, you better hate John Butler.
Right.
John Butler makes Chet look like Giannis.
Yeah.
He's 7'1" and 175. Chet is 195, probably pushing 200. So... but John Butler can shoot, a fluid athlete,
Yeah. I don't have any faith in him actually putting on the weight I do with Chet.
Yeah.
Him, I feel like it's all just hoping that he does, whereas Chet, you can definitely... He's proven everyone wrong at every level so far,
Yeah, but John Butler's standing reach and wingspan isn't as good as you would think.
Yeah.
So he's not quite the size mismatch height-wise.
Maybe Reese knows in chat, but I saw some Twitter thread on some people were discussing how high they could see John Butler going, and someone said I wouldn't say 11 wouldn't surprise him or it wouldn't be crazy or something. I was like, what are you talking?
We should have a stream in the future, or maybe we could do this as a video. Just like not necessarily predictions, but just like for this player, what could be the pick that shocks everybody? Or like maybe go through it every pick and then like what could be the most shocking pick here that you could potentially see happening. That might be something fun to do. I don't know. But I wouldn't even then, even if we're trying to go for shocking stuff, like I could not see John Butler going in the top half of the first round. I could barely see him going in the back end of the first round.
Yeah.
Anyway, who are we taking it? Are there any weird ones before us at 36?
Go 49ers 05 says, I've never heard of this dude. Let's see. All right. Yeah, this one's weird.
I'm curious to see who we take at 36 then.
They got us taking Jaden Hardy at 36.
That happened in our mock off season at 28.
Yeah, interesting.
Like value-wise, it's good at 36.
Yeah, sure.
Like that's probably the high. Like at 36, that might be the highest upside player left on the board.
Yeah, I agree with that. Koloko 44.
Yeah, I mean Koloko fits like. We better trade Keon if we take Jaden Hardy. We better try and get some value for Keon. Like,
man,
I don't know.
What? This is the one we took Sohan at 7.
Yeah, Sohan and Jaden Hardy.
If we got Sohan and Koloko, that's interesting. I don't necessarily want those to be our picks at the. I don't necessarily want to take Sohan at 7, but that could be an interesting front court pairing.
Yep. Shout out Caleb Pendergraph, $5 dono. He says, made sure I didn't mess this dono up because he messed up the last one. He says, thoughts on us taking Patrick Baldwin Jr. with 7. Need to get the man with the record-breaking vertical. Hashtag sarcasm. Yeah, the record-breaking vertical in the wrong way, okay? He's the opposite of Keon Johnson. And I don't mean that as a good thing. He's completely fallen pretty much off draft boards at this point to the second round.
Yeah, if you would have told me there was a player that would have a much worse vertical leap than Drew Timme, I would have been like, that guy's probably undraftable.
Dude, I think I have a higher vertical leap off the 3-step spin move into the dunk that I posted on Twitter earlier today.
Yeah, gotta post that. Or gotta pump that up, right?
I said meh is the caption, so no, I'm not pumping it up. It is what it is, it's very meh. But still better than Patrick Baldwin Jr.'s vertical.
Mm-hmm.
PBJ actually makes the ground sink when he tries to jump, yeah. Thank you, Caleb, for the $5 dono. Good job not messing that one up. Okay, what's our pick at 57, or are there any other weird ones in the second round?
It closed on me. I don't know. There wasn't any really weird ones. Sorry, I didn't see who we took.
Oh, it's all good. Reese asks, how high does Kendall Brown rise up your draft board if you know he shoots 34% from 3-on-3 attempts per game in the NBA? Probably right around 30.
34%?
He was projected as a, pick between 7 and 10 early on this season, and back then I was saying I did not understand it, in that I didn't like his game at all at that spot, so I was never one of the people early in the season that thought he was a lottery prospect. I never understood that.
Yeah, I might sneak him back into the second round, but I don't even have him on my top 60 right now.
Ooh, I can't go that bad. He's still athletic and can handle a little bit. I mean, and plays a little bit of defense. So
they have us taking Ron Harper Jr. at 57.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
I mean, he's fine pick-wise there, but 3. Yeah. No, I'm just saying,
yeah.
In terms of just a prospect, it's fine, but I don't know, it's another weird fit for us.
He's an NBA player, yeah.
All right. Next, we have Sports Illustrated posted a couple days ago. They got Jabari 1, Chet 2. I'll just say it's shock until it's not. 5, Keegan Murray to the Pistons. 6, they have Mathurin to the Pacers. Interesting.
Okay, so 7 should be Dyson Daniels.
They actually have us taken Sharp.
Or Sharp.
Yeah.
I would actually... Sharp... like, I was higher on Sharp. His measurements are just not as good as I thought they were. I think I'd rather have... I mean, I have Daniels higher on my big board. I would take Daniels over Sharp.
Man, I don't even really want to read this out loud. It's going to make me mad.
Why? Oh.
But I got to read this. All right. Number 7, Portland Trailblazers guard Shaedon Sharp, Kentucky, blah, blah, blah. Jeremy Grant continues to be linked to the Portland Trailblazers, and this 7th overall pick could very well be on the move in a package for Portland to acquire the forward from Detroit.
Disgusting. Let's move on.
Yeah. Thanks, Sports Illustrated. All right, then they got Daniels going to New Orleans, just like the other one. AJ Griffin, 9 to the Spurs. Johnny Davis, 10 to Washington. Duran, 11 to the Knicks.
Mitchell Robinson replacement.
Ousmane Dieng, 12 to the Thunder.
I like that pick for the Thunder.
Mark Williams to the Hornets. Malachi Branham to the Cavs. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Agbaji to the Hornets at 15. Let's just get down. I'll try to find like anything interesting. They have Sohan falling to 18.
I mean, I feel like somebody's going to fall that people don't expect. I just don't know who. So
yeah, Jovic going.
I just
19.
think if Sohan's there, oh no, Chicago is 18. Okay, I was thinking Chicago's 17 because Houston has the same colors.
He'd be a great fit on Chicago, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not going past. He's not falling past Chicago.
Dude, they could have a lineup with like Caruso, Ball, Patrick Williams, and Sohan.
Yeah, Sohan could replace Derek Jones Jr., who's a free agent. Anyway.
How are you scoring on that lineup? I'm just trying to scroll down to see if there's anything interesting. Walker Kessler, 25 to the Spurs. This is a weird draft for the Spurs, yeah.
Reese is asking banger questions, and they're so banger I can't even take the time to actually think about what my answer would be. Good job, Reese. What else?
What is the question?
Which one of the 7-footers in the second round are the best bet to hold their own on the glass? I don't even know who's going to be in the second round, but Koloko, if he's there. If not, then Sosa or whoever. I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, for strictly talking rebounding, I think someone who I don't think is going to be drafted, but like a Kofi Cockburn, that kind of guy would probably be the best rebounder in the second round, but I think his lack of any other skills at the next level, I think, would deter that.
And the answer to your next question, Reese, is Toronto. Anyway, what's next with that mock draft?
Reese's questions were so fire it's overheated my computer and now it's all frozen. So
see, that's why I wasn't gonna read them.
Yeah, I got nothing right now. So
what? I can look it up. What was the mock draft you were looking at?
It was Sports Illustrated from a couple days ago. Yeah.
Illustrated mock draft. Thunder swing on potential two-way. Is that the title?
No.
They have a lot of mock drafts. My goodness.
Awesome. Thanks, computer.
Oh, I think I found it. It's like there's so many articles talking about the mock draft and who teams are drafting in the mock draft. I think I found it. Oh, wait, no. This is... What? This is from 3 days ago, and it's different. So, I don't know, man. I guess they drop 1 million mock drafts. Your whole computer's froze?
Yeah, I can still Here, you obviously.
Yeah, so that's at least you can still.
Well, it's not my whole computer. I think it's just Chrome.
Yeah. Huh.
All right, let me try to bring the stream back up. I had to close everything down.
Yeah.
All right, let's just move on to the finale.
Oh God.
I can't. The wonderful.
Do you need me to read it off?
No, I got it back now.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I guess my camera was still working, so that's good. Can we trade the pick on the draft day? Yeah, so it'd basically just be once the day of the draft, it becomes the day of the draft, and you're just trading the rights to whoever you pick. So you would pick for that team and then trade them after the pick is made. So yeah, we can do that. Yes. But technically, we cannot trade the 7th pick before the draft either. So we could agree to a trade once we make the pick.
That would then
that several times
go through after the draft. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we did when we traded for Roca, because we traded a 2020 and a 2021 first, and you can't trade first in back-to-back years. But after the 2020 draft, we're not trading first in back-to-back years. We're trading the draft rights to a player and then a future first, so it was fine. So that's why Isaiah Stewart was drafted by Portland on draft night. I wish they just changed it and go along with it, but
Reese didn't watch our last stream, I guess. We talked about Laravia for a while on last stream.
Yeah. Me and Eric are very divided on him.
All right. The lovely NBA Draft.net. I listened to a show who they're like, they know nothing about prospects. So like whenever they do, they're like, oh, let's just check the reliable NBA Draft.net.
Oh,
to find out. And I was like, no. But anyways, yeah, so they have Jabari going number 1. And for the record, that satire NBA Draft.net sucks.
Yeah, I think you guys are about to see.
Caleb Pendergraft, another $2 donation.
We'll answer it after.
Yeah.
If you're cool with that.
All right, yeah. Jaden Ivey, number 2 to the Oklahoma City Thunder, which isn't, I guess...
That's not terrible.
Terrible,
you gotta take Chet.
Yeah.
And you gotta take Chet at number 1, but...
Yeah. Well, who do they have at number 3?
Oh, God, they got Keegan Murray at 3, don't they?
No, they got Banchero going 3.
Okay.
So Chet is still on the board for the Kings at 4. So you got the Chet Sabonis Gonzaga pairing instead of the.
Let's go. That's actually a really good fit next to Sabonis.
Just that's like the weirdest arrangement of those 4 players I can think of. But anyways, then they got Keegan Murray going 5, Mathurin going 6, and us taking Sharp at 7.
Okay, this actually isn't so bad.
And this was updated at 5:10 today, so this is like super recent. Yeah. Trying to think what else. They got Sohan going 50.
DJ Vega, I can't deal with more of your bad takes, man. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I mean, until it's proven correctly is not necessarily wrong. They got Max Christie going 22 to Memphis. And Milwaukee taking Kendall Brown at 24.
That's not that crazy.
No, I'm just saying.
It's bad. I'm
just Christian Brown 29 to Memphis.
Yeah.
So they took Max Christie and Christian Brown with their 2 first-round picks.
That's interesting.
That's not interesting. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, exactly.
Interestingly
it's interesting
terrible.
How terrible it is. Yeah.
They have Ryan Rollins at 25.
I mean,
that's not a huge reach or anything.
Who's at 25 again?
Spurs.
I mean, they don't need a guard. Honestly, I'd like Ryan Rollins more at 24 to Milwaukee.
Who do they have to us at 36? Bryce McGowens. So we got Sharp and McGowens. How would you feel about that, Tori?
Who's on the board at 36?
We just need like $1 million So the pick after us was Orlando Robinson, Wendell Moore, Patrick Baldwin.
I would like Robinson better.
Yeah.
I would like Dominic Barlow better if he's there. I would
Jabari
like Leonard Miller
Walker.
better.
I don't see. I'm trying to find Barlow on here. I don't see him. He's not on here.
He's not on there at all?
No, they don't have him getting drafted.
Yeah, that's the worst part of their mock draft.
Um,
Their mock draft is stuck in like March.
Yeah, and then, oh my God.
What?
At 57, we're taking J.D. Davison. So we took Sharp, McGowans, and J.D. Davison. This is so
with
weird.
The second to last
Are they not
pick in the draft, I really don't care. Like, if there might be a guy on the board that I really want, but like otherwise, it's the second last pick in the draft. I don't really care that much. But if we use it on J.D. Davidson, I might throw a table.
Yeah.
Eric might throw a clock. I would hate that. I would rather have Brandon Williams than J.D. Davidson.
We're drafting like two undersized small forwards and another guard. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Oh man, how much would you be willing to give up for 4 if Chet's on board?
Everybody on the roster.
Like 4 firsts?
Every potential first, every second, everybody on the roster. I'd sell the team.
You think he's that big of a star?
Yep. Dirk plus Larry Bird plus New York Porzingis plus Giannis.
Yeah, DJ Vega, Rutgers, that NBA powerhouse known for their legendary talent they put in the NBA.
See, I told you. Orlando can't deal with another Gonzaga bust, but let's draft Ron Harper. Oh my goodness. All right, bro. Anyway, is that it?
Yeah, let's answer Caleb Pendergraft's $2 question.
Caleb Pendergraft, $2 dono. Thanks, Caleb. He says thoughts on Schmitz. Struggling to say it. Thoughts on Schmitz already being with the team. That was the biggest takeaway from the pre-draft workouts is Mike Schmitz was there.
Yeah, so I think what people are confused about was the article says he would be joining the team in July after his obligations to ESPN are through. So what I understand it is there's nothing preventing him from being a part of the Blazers right now. It's just he felt bad as with the timing of agreeing to join the Blazers like 3 weeks before the draft, and then them obviously that's like Mel Kiper like just leaving ESPN before the NFL draft. You know, obviously Schmitz isn't as well known as Kiper, but that's a tough thing to do to a place that was relying on his little tidbits for each draft pick and everything. So I think he kind of put in a notice or kind of agreed to stay on to do the draft, just because that it would be tough for them to find someone as knowledgeable about every prospect as he is.
It'll be interesting to see his reaction to Portland's pick then.
Yeah. So I think he's still going to be on the draft coverage. Now maybe ESPN like uses him a lot less than they would have. Maybe he's not quite front and center or one of the main people. So that's certainly a possibility. Or maybe by the time it gets to be the draft, ESPN realizes they're fine without him and just let him go early or whatever. But I know at least on the radio version of ESPN's draft coverage, he's got like a little profile that he does after every pick is made, and he talks about the prospects and stuff. So I think they wanted to make sure they still had all that stuff and all that information that he has available. So I think that's all it was. It's not like, oh, contractually, is he allowed to even talk to the Blazers or anything like that? I don't think it's that serious.
Yep. Shout to Ben Belanger with a $10 dono. In the dono message, Eric, is a laughing fox cat thing. Thank you, Ben.
A fox cat thing.
Is that a fox or is that a... Yeah, that's definitely a fox.
It's a fox, yeah.
Laughing Fox. Thank you, Ben, for the Laughing Fox $10 dono. And then tomorrow is Bonnie's birthday. Eric.
Happy birthday, Bonnie.
Happy birthday to Bonnie. Chat. Say happy birthday to Bonnie. It's okay to spam chat right now just for Bonnie, just to say happy birthday to her.
Maybe that thing from Ben, the fox cat, as you described it, was for Bonnie.
What does that mean?
I don't
know. Bonnie, I don't know what that means, but maybe the fox cat was for... I don't know. Anyway, what would I do for Chet if he fell to 4, man? I would probably trade Hart in the deal, honestly. I'd probably do it.
Don't see what is Sacramento giving us back salary wise to match Hart? I don't know. They don't really have.
Harkless
makes like $3 million.
Plus, no, Harkless makes $4 million. Harkless plus, I think they have a couple other $4 million contracts. I don't want Terrence Davis, but bring Harkless back to Portland, and then.
XCJEP asked, does Joe Ingles play for the Blazers this year, or do we ship him out in a trade before the season? Well, he's a free agent, so we can't ship him out in a trade.
Yeah.
I like that, unless he agrees to a sign-in trade, which would be weird. I don't know why any team would do that.
Yeah, that's what I was
that
thinking
would be
about,
like
Joe Ingles sign-in trade.
Yeah, if you see a certain Blazer media person saying that we're going to sign and trade Ingles for like a max contract and the owners are cheapskates if they don't, that just tell him he's an idiot. But anyways, it's pretty much, I think we're going to re-sign him to hopefully a cheap deal, 1 or 2 year contract hopefully. But yeah, I don't think he's going to be playing till late in the season anyway, so.
Ben says, yo, I don't know. I was just trying to do a $10 dono and it made me do the Fox thing.
It made you?
I don't know why it made the Fox thing. Made you do the Fox thing, but thank you for the dono. That's funny. That's what was that about. Anyway, yeah, I mean... Somebody wants to know what you would give up for Chet at 4.
Dude, don't ever go on Hollander's board. He says Ant's going to make $11 million next year. It's so dumb.
Oh yeah,
Did you see that?
No, but I don't.
It has Ingles valued at $15 million.
Yeah, Ingles is more valuable off an ACL injury than Anthony Simons. Okay, man.
Like, use some common sense in your formulas or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
What am I giving up for Chet at 4?
At 4.
I'm probably doing the scenario we talked about earlier where it's, the Milwaukee pick and 36 to get our lightly protected pick back next year or whatever. And 7. Yeah, I'd probably do that. I'm not giving up more than that, though.
You're not giving up more than 1 first with 7?
Well, I mean,
for somebody who could.
I'm saying, like, we're giving up 36 Milwaukee, and I know we're trading those two to get our pick back, but yeah.
Oh, I would give up another first and Hart.
I'm doing the same that I would give up for Bankero in that situation.
Yeah, I think man, I disagree, man. I think I'd give up more. I mean, the dude is the best. This is my opinion. The dude is the best defensive prospect in the draft. Could potentially, if he puts on the muscle, be the perfect modern-day center going forward. If not, he's fine at the 4 with his size. He's just, dude, like, the things he does defensively, processes the game really well on the defensive end. A lot of people just think, oh, he's tall and lanky and light, so he's able to block a lot of shots. But a lot of his recognition of things as they happen, he knows where to be. Like, the dude does a lot of little things defensively on top of that. I think you put him at the 4 and our defense has a legitimate chance of being... I mean, you'd need a solid defensive 3, probably a good defensive 3 next to him, but if you got him in a good defensive 3, I think our defense is at worst average next year. And if our defense is at worst average, then we have a chance to contend. And then I think he has the highest ceiling in the draft beyond that. So... everybody wants to look at his weight. I can't remember the last guy that was a bust simply because he was skinny. The dude, I would have to give up more, and I would give up more for Jabari too. So,
yeah. Woo to Ruler Page $2 donation. Barnes and the 4th pick with this emoji. I mean, I don't know what you're saying.
Thank you for the $2
we talked about that earlier. Barnes, Sacramento once again is expecting a first-round pick if they trade Barnes. They're not going to salary dump him and have negative value to where if we take that contract, he has 1 year left on their deal. They're not going to give us the 4th pick for the 7th pick if we take Barnes from them. They think of Barnes as either a part of their team or as positive value. So like that makes no sense. I don't know why you keep saying it in chat but thanks for donating after you said it multiple times in chat, and we already talked about that earlier.
And shout out Ben Belanger. Sorry, I'm probably butchering your last name, but he has another $10 dono, and it's another sticker, and it's a cartoon thing getting wrecked on a computer chair.
That looks like a hippo.
A cartoon hippo. Thank you, Ben, for the cartoon hippo getting wrecked, man. Thank you for the donos. Appreciate it.
Blevins enthusiast, we talked about that trade at length in the last show on Monday night, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think that rumor is true. It's just like a random
trade
thing.
idea. We can't. That's the thing, is there's so much smoke out there with Portland with all the flexibility they have that it's like it's hard to address all of it. And I know you guys aren't watching every stream or whatnot, but there's just so much, so many ideas and rumors out there that we can't touch upon them all. So that's why we talk about. That's why we tell you guys we talked about it in a previous stream in case you want to go back and find where we actually went into depth on it. It's not like you should have watched it necessarily or anything like that.
There, he showed you how to pronounce it.
Belanger. Okay. Belanger. Got you. I'm gonna get it down just because you're donating. I have to remember your name properly. Anyway, who do I think will be better next year, Chet or Mobley? Mobley, he's had a terrific rookie season. He's gonna be a sophomore, so I mean, if I knew what Mobley was gonna do his freshman year, I would take Mobley over Chet. Like going into their rookie year, so Mobley in year 2 is gonna be better than Chet in year 1. Caleb says, thoughts on the news that the Nuggets are making Monte and Barton available for trades. Monte Morris doesn't really solve any needs. I wouldn't hate Will Barton for us. I'm a little bit higher on Will Barton than you are, right? Don't want to speak for you, but if I recall correctly.
I don't want any part of Will Barton in his contract.
Isn't he expiring next year?
I just meant the amount. So we'd have to use our TPE. I mean, I guess we're talking like Bledsoe or Will Barton or something, but he's had injury issues the last couple of years. I don't think he fits well within a team concept. And yeah, I don't like Barton's game on a good team.
I like his game off the bench. I don't like it in a starting spot. But I mean, the dude can play the 3. I think he's solid defensively. He can shoot well enough, can attack a little bit, and can pass, can play make a little bit. Like, he's just kind of a well-rounded... I mean, it depends on who we draft at 7. Like, if we drafted Dyson Daniels, I wouldn't be as high on getting Will Barton. But if you could get him for cheap, like, and match with... I don't know why, but if you could match with Bledsoe and give up, like, the Milwaukee 2025 first and you didn't have a better option for it, I'd absolutely do it. I think Barton actually makes a ton of sense for Phoenix. So maybe there's a 3-team trade there. I don't know who's going to be available. They're obviously in a weird spot, but I think they need more shot creation. I think they need shot creation at a forward spot. So if they could bring Will Barton off the bench and then play him next to a Chris Paul and Devin Booker to take some of the pressure off an aging Chris Paul, which was kind of the issue in the playoffs for them, I would actually like Will Barton for Phoenix. So maybe there's a 3-team trade there. I don't know.
Yeah. Blevins enthusiast, I strongly suggest you watch the stream on Monday because we also talked about Dyson Daniels at length and about why I agree more with what you're saying than Tori had the opposite take. So if you want to hear us go back and forth about that, go watch Monday's stream, and you also get your answer to the other question about the New York Knicks trade offer or whatever.
I think Dyson Daniels, I will speak on it for like 30 seconds. I think Dyson Daniels will be, just on the comparison, I think Dyson Daniels will be a better defender than Evan Turner ever was. I think he's going to be a better three-point shooter than Evan Turner ever was. He doesn't shoot a bunch of stupid step back, like fall away, ugly looking 12-foot jump shots all the time. So I don't think he's Evan Turner.
Mm-hmm.
And if Evan Turner could shoot, he would have been a very solid player. So Evan Turner with shooting potential isn't as bad of a... Like, a better defensive Evan Turner with some shooting potential isn't a bad thing. Anyway. We'll take questions for a couple more minutes and then probably sign off the stream. We don't have anything else that we plan to talk about. We'll just read your comments and then sign off. YYC, I made a video talking about our preseason predictions on the main channel. After the season, I made a video looking at our preseason predictions, awards and standings. It
was like mid-April-ish, I think.
Yep. It's the thumbnail with Jaw in the middle. Or no, maybe it's Mikal Bridges in the middle. It has Mikal Bridges and John Morant in it. Answer your Jabari question. Reese asked... And I'll let you answer this.
I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, what do you want me to answer it off the top of my head? I have no idea. I mean, people didn't even care about that stuff till a few years ago.
Yeah. So in case Chas confused, the question was, where was it at?
It was name a player who had horrible finishing, basically, or couldn't get to the rim in college.
Yeah. Who is someone who didn't get to the rim in college like Jabari and completely turned it around in the NBA? I don't think that's a terrible question.
No, that's a good question. It's just, I mean, you have to look at, I mean, he probably has access to stats that I don't have access to. So, like, he can figure that out probably better than we can.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to figure out.
Name a star that had worse spacing on his team ever in the history of college basketball than Jabari Smith had last year.
I'd be up to that challenge, but because they shot 32%, I think, on the season, and that was him like propping that up.
I know. If you take him out, and what was that? Kind of blanking on his name. Is it Green? Who's their point guard that thought he was Damian Lillard?
Oh, Wendell Green Jr.
Yeah,
he thought he was Steph.
He took like he had the horrible shot selection.
Then you'd had like KD Johnson that was just way too hyped like on everything and was just a spaz offensively. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Still though, I think he has some work to do in regards to attacking the rim and finishing, attacking the rim and ball handling wise. But every prospect has work to do in certain areas, so it's hard to determine how much of it was just, bad spacing. A lot of guys helped onto him. But he does have to get better off the dribble.
Yeah.
You know what team I'm thinking? I'm thinking Jaylen Brown's California team might be worse. Just a random guess. But that was like all that they thought that Jaylen Brown could do, so for the most part, coming out of college. I mean, people thought he could do other things, but that was his main selling point, was slashing.
You have that bird guy. I forgot his name.
Jabari Bird. Yeah.
Something like that.
And I think Tyrone Wallace was on that team too. So actually, maybe it was Barron, I thought. But Reese, I'm sorry, man. I'm down to watch maybe 2 minutes of it, but I'll get triggered at Wendell Moore Jr. and then or Wendell Green Jr.
Not
Wendell Moore.
Birdman, no.
Watching Auburn last year triggered me, man, and that's why I didn't like him in the tournament. That's the thing. Next year, if you fill out a bracket, remember if a team has suspect shooting and suspect guard play, do not pick them to go far in your bracket. Because Auburn was a 2 seed, I did not trust them, even though they had Jabari. It's just like that was such an easy upset pick, round 2. That was like the only thing I got right in my bracket this year too. My bracket sucked, but Auburn, yeah, Auburn was rough. So
yeah, Malachi Branham or Johnny Davis.
Johnny Davis has more star upside, and I think is a better defensive player.
And he's already got a Taco Bell commercial, so you got to go with Johnny Davis, right?
Actually, I think that might make me go Malachi Branham.
Really? Yeah, lame. All right. No, not Larry Bird either. Bonnie, jeez. I'll give you a pass because it's your birthday tomorrow. Yeah. So I like Johnny Davis a lot. I think it's close between him and Branham. I think they're both similar fits for whatever team gets them. But yeah, I like Johnny Davis's upside, especially if his shooting comes around. I just think he's such a well-rounded player and can score at every level if he is able to knock down the three. He took some really tough shots, didn't have the greatest offense. Speaking of another player that didn't have a great team around him. Yeah, so I like... Am I still on the Matherin train at 7? Yes, I am. How would you feel about Jean Montero at 36?
Freeze, what are these questions?
So random.
I would not want Gene Montero at 36. That's like a small point guards are not what we need.
Yeah, Josh, I like them both. I like both Davis and Branham. I don't think either would be a bad fit for the Pels, but I think if you're talking about best case scenario for each player, Davis is the best fit for your Pels.
I like Dyson Daniels a little bit more for the Pels than Davis, but they're pretty close. And they have some similarities. I just like Daniels more because he's a better passer, playmaker for others.
Ben asked
your questions are fine. I'm just giving you crap.
When's the next live stream? Well, on this channel we stream every Monday and Thursday, so the next stream will be Monday. Over on the main channel, we will go live if there's ever a trade or some sort of huge news concerning the Blazers. And then also, in 2 weeks from tonight, we'll have our draft stream. We'll stream the entire draft, starting a little bit before it starts, and we'll go through every pick. Tori and I work very hard to know our stuff when it comes to all the prospects and the team situations, drafting them and all that kind of stuff. So we break down all 58 picks this year, and it's like a 6-hour stream or something. A lot of fun. So join us for that in 2 weeks if you haven't checked us out before.
Yep. Dude, I don't like that there's only 58 picks. They should have taken 59 and 60 and like randomly given it to 2 out of the 28 teams that didn't tamper.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what they should have done. But...
with 2 ways now. There's so many undrafted players that get picked up anyways. I don't think it matters too much.
Yeah, true.
Weezy asked a good question. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, Tori. Thoughts on the rumors about Tari Eason's low basketball IQ, and apparently he is just getting killed in film study and some of the mental tests that teams are giving him.
Honestly, who even knows where that came from? That could have been from a team that wants him to slip or something.
It's coming from like 10 different places. I think it's it's not something that just came from one team.
Because like I heard somebody say they were really impressed with one of the interviews he had at the Combine, and I mean the dude.
Where did you hear that? It's like universally said that he like was a complete failure in the interview process of the Combine.
I just saw somebody tweet about it. It was like
I've not seen anything good about it. Yeah.
I mean, the dude.
Everyone was clowning him after the combine about it.
I don't like the dude reads the game decently defensively. Like I don't know, man. It's hard to know without like knowing what he's being criticized for. But here's the thing: a lot of people say, "Oh, you can't teach basketball IQ." I don't necessarily agree with that.
Mm. Well, I mean, good instincts are hard to teach, but like, yeah, I agree. I agree.
On defense, I think.
Yeah.
Offensively, I can see it. Like, I think he's solid on the defensive end in terms of, I mean, the dude averages like insane steal and block numbers, but offensively, he does do some questionable things, but he also has some talent.
That's like, what's weird to me is how, like, he scored a majority of his points like off the dribble, right? And like he can get to the paint, he can get to the rim, but like he doesn't pass out at all, and he doesn't shoot well. Like I don't know, it seems to me like that kind of backs up when you're like really good with the ball and can get to the rim, but you're not a good playmaker. That to me screams low IQ. It doesn't always have to be, and I'm sure there's outliers, but I think that's probably pretty accurate. I don't know.
I mean, remember Tyrell Terry had like a record-breaking basketball IQ according to
Stanford.
Yeah, like that dude. There's people that liked him in that draft. I thought that dude was such a low ceiling player. Like I did not understand the love for him.
Well, he was super short too.
Yeah, and just like I don't know, there's nothing impressive about him at all. I was shocked that teams were looking to draft him. I think I had him low second round. I was shocked the teams were like looking at him around the turn of the first and second round, I should say. Mm-hmm. And remember that same draft, it was like Anthony Edwards was questionable in terms of his IQ.
Well, you knocked him down.
And I knocked him down for it because of some of the stuff that he was saying. And it was like, oh, he doesn't actually love basketball because he can't hit people like football. He just plays it because that's his better sport or something like that. There was a lot of stuff about Anthony Edwards. Look at where Anthony Edwards is now. He is going to be an all-star player in the next couple of seasons. Mm. Like, he's already on the ascension to stardom. He's already basically on the doorstep. So...
Oh. All right, so Eric Olson brings up a good point. And what's up, Carson? He says Wiggins learned basketball IQ with Golden State, which is very true. Or it's more just like you better play this way or you're not going to be here very long, I guess. But people are saying, like, maybe it's... Who knows if it's true or not. But I think if you hear it just like one time or something... then yeah, it's definitely like a team probably throwing that out there to maybe get him to fall a little bit. A team in the late teens or something maybe is hoping he falls to them. But you have rumors from the combine. You have multiple sources saying that every workout he's done so far, there has been some sort of situation with some sort of mental IQ test or film study where the team walked away from it being like, man, this guy is not very smart. So I just think there's too much stuff there to let it be just a smokescreen at this point. So I'm just going to
him down on your board.
No, I don't think it's necessarily a point where like you could still be a great player with a low IQ. It's especially we're talking about mid-teens when you're talking about it. I don't think it's like, I mean, if we're talking about taking him over Ben Caro or something, then yeah, absolutely, you're not going to do that. But like, I'm not taking him in the top 10 anyway, so I don't think it really affects my opinion on him that much. I just think that it's probably got to be true if so many different places are saying it.
Yep. Alvaro asked Usman Jang and Nikola Jovic long-term who is the better player and why. I mean, it could be either. I'm a little bit higher on Jang. I don't think Jang should fall past 12. Because I think he's a good upside swing on a forward for San Antonio at 9, and then OKC at 12 just needs to swing for upside. And at that point, unless like maybe an AJ Griffin might have more upside, but at that point, I think Ousmane Dieng would be a good upside swing for OKC at 12. If not, I think it'd make a ton of sense to Charlotte at 13. So I don't think Dieng should fall out of the lottery. I like Dieng. Yeah, he has a lower floor, but he improved throughout the season last year in the NBL. Shot the ball well down the stretch. I don't think there's anything wrong with the way he shoots the ball. And then he's a fluid athlete, can move, just needs to get a little bit stronger and better, like going all the way to the rim. He settles for a lot of mid-range stuff when he can get all the way to the rim. Defensively, I think he can be pretty damn good. So I really like his upside. But then Jovic has a ton of size and has offensive skill and can pass and handle the ball. So he's another high upside swing that I don't think he should fall past 20. Because just they have too much upside, I think, to let him fall that far.
Yeah. I'd say Dieng probably has overall, like both ends, two-way upside.
Yeah.
Higher than Jovic. And I'd say Jovic has a higher offensive ceiling, not quite as good defensive ceiling.
Yeah. I think for that reason, Dieng probably has a little bit higher floor. Because he does have the potential on both sides of the floor compared to Jovic, who's probably not going to be a good defensive player, so he has to really get it clicking offensively.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why Dieng's higher than him.
Caleb, we're getting some weird questions tonight. What pick would Dame be in this draft? It's so hard to think. Probably 5th or 6th again. Yeah, I don't know.
Like the prospect he was coming out of Weber State?
Yeah, I think that's how you have to do it, because if you talking about Dame right now, he'd go number 1, right?
Yeah, if you knew what Dame was going to become, he'd go number 1. But also, that's why I wanted Dame at 6th that year, you know.
I mean, but coming out of Weber State, I don't think you could put him ahead of Ivy right now if it was just back then. Yeah. So.
Did you? Okay, so like I didn't talk to you back then, obviously. Did you really, really want Dame in that draft?
Yeah, I wanted Dame and Drummond, so I was hoping to get both of them.
Yeah.
I was fine taking Dame at 6, but I was hoping that we'd find a way to. I always wonder, like, if we would have taken Drummond at 6, or maybe even Harrison Barnes when he fell, because he wasn't expected to be on the board still. Mm-hmm. But like, if we would have taken one of them at 6, if we still could have gotten Dame at 11, or if we could have traded up if Dame was on the board at 9 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But when you got your guy, you got to take your guy. So I'm glad they didn't.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's the thing is I always talk about, like, oh, well, if you want to take Sohan, just trade down a few spots. But it's like, if you truly believe that that's your guy, and you might not get him if you trade down, like, I get it. Because that was kind of the case with Dame.
I remember watching, we talked about this last stream, but that Sacramento released footage of him working out for them, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this guy is going to be good.
Yeah. And the way he scored in college, you could just tell.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. The way he scored in college, you could just tell. Mm-hmm. I never wanted us to draft somebody that badly. I also wanted Myers Leonard in that draft and at 11. So I was pretty damn happy. One of them panned out, to say the least, and one of them didn't. But yeah, it's just like, that's the thing, is you just watch his tape, and yeah, it was against mid-majors, but just the way he scored the ball. There's some guys where you can just tell just the way they score the ball, or the way they do certain things, it's just like, yeah, that's going to be something that translates. Like, he'll be fine. But that's the thing, when we drafted him, I remember a lot of the talk, he didn't play against anybody. Why would you draft a guy at Weber State? When was the last time a good NBA player came out of Weber State?
Rookies can't help you year 1 either, Tori.
Yeah, rookies can't help you. And why would you draft a guy at Weber State who's also like 22 at 6? He's already old for a rookie. Like, and there's people like, oh, he's going to be... Some of the comparisons were terrible. Mm-hmm. Like, just middling bench guards were like a lot of the comparisons. Yeah. So that was a lot of the talk back then. Around Dame.
Yeah, once I started seeing him work out, and then just his like demeanor and all that kind of stuff. Like he just seemed like he was going to be cold, you know. And
we
so
just been done dealing with Raymond Felton too.
Yeah. So once we picked him, I was like all in on him. But yeah, I mean, there were people out there that thought we should have taken Kendall Marshall instead. You know, it's like, thank goodness we didn't do that. But we definitely, I mean, that was the main thing we needed was a point guard. And I mean, we kind of needed a center too, but like, obviously that didn't work out, but.
Yep. One more question to answer. It's a dono. Shout Bubba, $5 Canadian dono. He says, why isn't Vonleh in the league? He can defend multiple positions, can guard the perimeter pretty well. Defensively, he can still make an impact. Thank you, Bubba, for the $5 Canadian dono. Vonleh's one of those guys who was reportedly not high in terms of basketball IQ. Offensively, he's not a positive. There's nothing that he really does well on the offensive end, and defensively, he's not that good.
I mean, he showed some flashes here and there, but yeah,
he's just without a position.
Just never really panned out. It's it's very similar to Scal. It's like it can do amazing things, and it seems like, but you're always waiting for that potential to like pan out or whatever, and it never really does. And outside of flashes, like I said, and you know, you see a random game where Vonleh joins with the Knicks and he has like a near triple double or something, and it's like, oh man, this guy's breaking out, and then like he sucks the next 5 games or whatever, and then you don't really hear from him again. It's tough to. I mean, Vonleh seemingly, much like Scal, had all the skills to become a dominant player on the offensive end, and it just never really materialized.
Yep. Anyway, before I sign off, Josh the Pels fan, that's a really poor take, my guy. You donated earlier, so I'm not going to be too mean about it, but
you can't make fun of anyone that went to
Bro, Jalen Suggs, Trey Burke is a terrible comparison for Jalen Suggs, man. Jalen Suggs was a really good defensive player last year. Trey Burke has always been a terrible defender.
Vegas is Suggs trash. Okay. You guys are gonna much like anyone who's saying that Dame is washed, that's gonna he's just making fun of you now.
Bro, let me just say this. Darius Garland came out the same age as Suggs and was awful his rookie year. And he was the 5th pick, too. Now he's an all-star. You got to give guys more than one season when they're coming out at 19 years old.
Was he the 4th?
No, he's the 5th.
Yeah. Hunter is 5th.
Yeah.
But anyways, I still like Suggs. I think he's going to make people who are down on him pay for it. He did have some good games towards the end of last season. And like you said, he's way better defensively than some of those other busts. So even if he can make a name for himself on that end, I know that might not necessarily be worthy of the 5th pick, even if he's just a defensive stopper. But that guy's got way too much upside still to be labeled a bust yet.
Yeah, give him some freaking time, man. I hate when you have a 19-year-old rookie who comes in and doesn't do super well as rookie year, and people will just automatically say he's a bust and he's trash and that sort of thing. It's way too premature. I'm not defending that because he's a Gonzaga player. I don't like takes like that in general.
Yeah, well, much like Mo Bamba, who Tori and I both liked and just thought that was one of the worst situations he could have been drafted to. I mean, they got Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton already on that team. They had some vets too, like Terrence Ross and Gary Harris and stuff. I hate how many guards they have on that team. It's just dumb.
And it's not like he has like a Dame to mentor him either.
Right.
Because that's the thing. If he was here and like stuck behind guards here, but had Dame to mentor him, I would have confidence, in that situation for him, just because Dame's mentorship, I think, has proven to be pretty invaluable. I think it's helped Anthony Simons a lot. So, hot take, I think Orlando should look to trade Cole Anthony this offseason. They need to thin out the guard lineup. Cole Anthony can score, but I don't know, man.
I think it's more likely to trade Fultz than Anthony. Just because, I don't know, Anthony's...
I think they should trade both.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I just don't think from their point of view they'll be looking to move Anthony because I think they still think he's got star potential.
Yeah, I mean, I was never a huge fan of Cole Anthony's game, but he's obviously turned.
He's been better than you thought. Yeah,
he still hasn't scored efficiently though.
well,
Like he shot 39% from the field last year,
I mean,
43% from two.
Tailed off. He got off to a good start and tailed off, but yeah.
Like he's one of those guys that shoots a lot and doesn't make a high percentage of shots, but on nights where he does, he looks like a star, so people think he's a little bit better than he is. It's the same thing with like a Jordan Clarkson or something like that. He's not a good defensive player, and he's inefficient and shoots a kind of a bit of a chucker to me. Now, if he's able to become a more efficient scorer on the difficult shots that he likes to shoot, then yeah, he's a very good player then. So, you know, he just has to hit a higher percentage of his shots. I don't know. Like, he settles a little bit too much for my liking, and I don't know, man. I've just seen guys like this that come in and get, 12, 13, 14 points per game, but they aren't efficient, and they never become a contributing piece to a winning team because of it. Like, I don't know how Dion Waiters, I don't know what his career high for a season was in points per game. Oh, Dion Waiters, his first year, 15 points per game. His second year, 16 points per game. And he was actually more efficient than Cole Anthony was. His second year, he was 45.5% from two and 37% from three. And then his career tailed off. He was always kind of just a meh player because he didn't play defense and wasn't efficient and shot some bad shots. So that's where I think you're in a position to sell high on Cole Anthony if you're Orlando. What were you going to say?
Waiters put on some weight. Wasn't the same.
Yeah, I mean, that was part of it. I never take kindly to guards that are inefficient and shoot a lot of questionable shots. In
his defense, too, it's much like we were talking about with Jabari Smith. It's not like he had a ton of spacing on that team.
I mean, he had Bamba and Carter Jr. and Wagner, all decent shooters in the front court. Was his spacing really that bad?
Well, I mean, the team overall was bad shooting. I don't know.
Yeah, it was more in the backcourt, though, so I don't know. Because, Fultz and Hampton struggle, and then Suggs struggled shooting three. So I just think they're in a position where he played, 20 games?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying the guys that ended up playing for them. Fultz played 18 games. I just think Orlando's in a position to sell high on him. To sell high on the idea of him. And they have a lot of guards. So I would shop him and see if you can get an offer that blows you away if I'm Orlando. That's what I would do. That's just my opinion. They're in a weird spot. I think they need to kind of thin out some of the guys they have, try and shop Jonathan Isaac as well. And just kind of reset their rebuild.
Yep.
Anyway.
And they should do that with Chet, according to you, right?
Yeah, Chet and Suggs have chemistry already. Played in high school together.
So random.
What?
That they're both from Minnesota or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Minnehaha Academy or something. It was a school that wasn't renowned as anything big, but yeah, and then they both go to Gonzaga. So yeah, that's why I want Orlando to draft Chet because I don't want him playing for the Thunder. I don't want him playing for the freaking Rockets. And I want Suggs and dude, that would be my second favorite team in the league then. Is the Magic. And they're an Eastern team, so that's fine, I'd root for those two guys together would be fun. Would have to go to the Magic game when they play in Moda. So I'm fingers crossed that they take him at one. I think he'd be any big man that likes to play inside but maybe doesn't have a ton of rim protection defensively. I think Chet's a good fit next to. So Wendell Carter Jr., I think, he can shoot a little bit and play on the perimeter a little bit, but I think Chet would be a good fit because Carter Jr. is solid inside offensively as well, and then slightly undersized for the center position in my opinion. So getting a rim protector next to him would be beneficial. Mm-hmm. And then also shooting. So I don't think they can go wrong with Jabari or Chet though necessarily. I would just take Chet if I were them.
I wonder if Suggs would play Summer League this year. That'd be cool to see them in Vegas.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Anyway, Vegas is going to be fun this year with all the prospects that we've nerded out on this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to Summer League.
Reese is going to Summer League.
Nice, Reese. You're going to have to land us some interviews, man. Anyway, anything else for the stream?
No, have a good night, everyone. Appreciate everyone for watching, and check out Tori's videos on the other channel, and we'll see you guys Monday.
Yep. Monday's the next stream time. Right here on this channel. Anyway, mock draft will be coming Saturday. It's going to be a mock draft with trades. Eric, do you still want to submit the trades for that? Or do you want to work together on the trades for that?
Sure.
So that we can take the smoke together
Sure.
from all the people that hate every trade, no matter what. Yeah, we'll have a mock draft with trades. I'm going to rope Eric into it, at least as a consultant for the trade ideas. And then some more draft profiles, a couple more draft profiles over the weekend. Anyway, hope everything's going well for you. Hopefully you have a good weekend ahead. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.